And we are back for the AOPL Showdown. It is the third place match, and this is very important because the top three will qualify to the main event already. And we have quite the match now happening. Steak and Cheese versus Restless will be playing against each other again. And Kriidy, last time, maybe you can walk us through how the match went last time.
When we were expecting, well, yeah, as you can see the bracket on your screens as well of how the
Yeah, sure.
tournament has progressed as well. But it's something that if you have been watching, you should already know this, But it's a nice visual to have for you. But overall, when we looked at the previous match between Restless and Steak and Cheese, it was still a pretty close affair. The scores on the first two maps were 10-9 and 12-8. So it shows that those two teams really tussled. It was only Burn It All Down where Restless just had their number, and Steak and Cheese really couldn't get any rounds going on that third map. But the problem is, of course, that we saw Restless today, and we saw Steak and Cheese today as well today. And I'm gonna be honest, I have very high hopes that Steak and Cheese can do a lot more than their previous encounter in the group stage. And honestly, if Restless cannot get, pick up some of that slack, Steak and Cheese have probably the best opportunity to defeat them today.
I mean, already yesterday we had a very close match between Steak and Cheese and Restless concerning the first two maps. I mean, Bali was very close. It was a 10-9 in favor for Restless, and then Sun's Retreat was a 12-8, but it came out to the last round when I think it was an ace even there for Restless. So I think it could be a close match, and hopefully not a 3-0 this time, because that was kind of the trend of this tournament for now. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because, I mean, we both would love to see more Trackmania esport in this way and also would love to cast it. But then, of course, it goes along a bit like faster as we can see the players warming up accordingly. And I mean, also, let's talk about Sweat and Planetary Goose. I think they played really well on map 2 and 3 in the previous match. But
Yes.
Winky Face and Red Bolt come from a huge defeat, from the fastest defeat of this whole event for now. Like, do they put it? Sorry, some more efforts. Oh, this came all of a sudden. Oh my god! Like there was not even like a prediction what I have to do there. Like what will. What is going to happen now? As yeah, I do think it will be a much closer match, and my prediction for this match will be a 3-2 for Steak and Cheese.
I'm gonna be honest. I see it going to map 5. I think they will start trading blows. You take one map and one map there, and that's gonna be the case. And we'll just have to wait and see how things go. As I can hear my phone ring, and it is my camera as well. So whoever is calling me right now has to call back later, because we have Pick and Pan face upcoming, and it is Restless to start us off. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. It could be a literal trading blows, as I said, of maps, and we will end up on a decider. We will start on Sun's Retreat, and that was the map that looked really good for Planetary Goose, to be honest, and even Svet, to be honest. And it's hard to really say how Winky Face and Red Bull will do it this time. Putumayo was also a pretty good map. They struggled in the last part of Putumayo against Stantic, but maybe Winky Face and Red Bolt are a bit better of an opponent there.
I think that this is a good map, Putumayo, for, in this case, Restless and Steak and Cheese. I think this will be a great fight, but I think Steak and Cheese has the upper hand there because they look great on this map. I think just the last bits were missing. And I think with that, Planetary Goose and Sweat can take this map home. And then Archetype, Burn It All Down in Bali. So complete different pig face. Burn It All Down is map number 4, was map number 3 last time. And Putumayo was actually the decider last time, which was not played. So we're going to see Bali as a new map. Or like Bali was map number 1, will not be seen. Sun's Retreat was map number 2 last time, is now map number 1. So everything is just all over the place in this regard. And let's go. Red Bolt and Winky Face versus Planetary Goose and Swed. So it is New Zealand versus Australia. Let's see who will already secure their spot into the main event.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And it is the first time we see Archetype today. It is a map that is not as heavily favored by any of the teams, really. So this will be a map that we will definitely see, because it is the third map, so I'm interested to see. And it is now Winky Face and Red Bull picking it. Maybe they just thought, you know what, we are coming into this anyway. We might as well just, you know, chuck in something there, and who knows, maybe it will stick into the wall. But we'll have to see whether it be Australia or New Zealand on top. That is only one way to find out. Of course, we will enjoy a casual warm-up because, you know, we have to have a pick and ban phase and then enjoy a long warm-up as well. But they have changed it at least. It's not the minute it was before. It is now 30 seconds, which I prefer a lot more. I'm not a fan of long warm-ups. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, I do think so as well. I think the worst warm-ups is where a player has to finish a round. This is good when players also decide to DNF after the second rotation, but sometimes this can just take 1.5 minutes. So I do think the best warm-up is just 30-second warm-up and you're just good to go. But also, like, I get the point that you might want to play one of the rounds before you're gonna continue. But I think like 30, maybe like 20 seconds is the sweet spot for a warm-up because every player then is on the map and it's good to go. Here in this case, we have a 30-second warm-up, so that's also completely fine. And let's see how that goes. I mean, Winky Face and Red Bulls, they didn't look that good in the previous match, and also Winky Face has the world record on this map. So last time they completely lost it, and let's see how that goes. The rematch from yesterday, it was a 3-0 in that case for Restless, but in this case, Steak and Cheese have like just done so much work into that, and surely they can now take it home. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I think if anything regarding this matchup, I think we can completely forget what happened yesterday because now the teams are on completely different levels, as Restless are definitely not up to par compared to yesterday, and Planetary Goose and Sweat look a lot more convincing compared to yesterday as well. So it's gonna be a big toss-up between the two, and for the time being, it is looking likely to be a very similar case from the first match, as Winky makes a mistake and Steak and Cheese are about to get an ace on the board unless Red Bull somehow can get the most magnificent end, or one of the players up in front hits the finish block. But it seems that Steak and Cheese are going to start off with an ace, and that is exactly what they need to do. And Winky, I mean, yeah, like I said before, you know, it is, I feel like he's a very momentum-based player. He's also, as I said, a very time attack-oriented player. So if it doesn't go his way, I feel like that is where it really will start to get to him. But we'll see. It's he's one of those characters, I would put it like that.
Yeah, and already with that start, it's not looking too good. It's 3-0 for Steak and Cheese. Good start, the dream start for them coming into that round. And I mean, this just reminds me of how Restless started the previous match as well, that they just lost after just 20 minutes. So this was quite something there. And let's go into the next round, as again, Sweet and Goose getting the best start. This could be 6-0 quite quick. Winky Face, that so-called time attack Andy, is on third place right now, but he's still only 0.15 away, so he can make something possible as Sweet gets a great line. Good alignment there, but Winky Face pushing a lot. Goose still leading, and I mean, already a draw would be huge for Steak and Cheese, as they even get more at the moment. No one making a mistake in that transition for now. No one touching Sweat, also coming closer to Winky Face. Good line from Sweat, but Winky Face going much more aggressive on the inside, but Goose has a very good approach, and I do think that this could be a victory for Steak and Cheese unless Winky Face fails the ending, but nope, it will not be the case. 59.798, very good time from Goose, and it's 5-1. Steak and Cheese jumping a significant step closer of sniping away that map win from Restless already. I mean, 5 points is already really good, and ace is needed for Restless.
Yeah, and Planetary Goose is now taking the helm for Steak and Cheese, and that is good to see. I mean, I see Winky Face is constantly trying to go for the nose slide at the end. But I'm gonna be honest, if you do not get that nose slide, then you are not gonna get much more out of it. And everybody else is sort of, you know, trying to tap away, you know, trying to sort of smooth their way around the corner. The nose slide can be faster, but you actually have to get it really well in order to be advantageous, and Winky so far hasn't been able to really capitalize on that. It has always fallen behind after that final turn towards the finish line, but for the time being, he is the one actually contesting the front end, as Red Bull is the one who has been sort of chasing everybody at the back, and it's again a 1v1 between Winky and Goose, and we will see here. Winky this time doesn't really go for it, but Goose is able to still hold on, and it will be a... Oh my goodness,
Whoa.
that was much closer than it should have been. Look at the splits right there.
What an ending from Winky Face, though. He just was having so much speed with that line, and it's now 6-2. Look at that. So now, I mean, 4 victories are needed for, are required for Restless. So, to tie up the score. And I mean, Steak and Cheese with a prime scenario happening here. At least getting 1 point out of every round would be huge. And it is Red Bolt not with the best line. 0% crashes, 0% top 1, so nothing really has happened. Trying to be a bit more consistent compared to the previous match, I have the feeling. But still not being able to do any damage as Swed gets a good line. And the Red Bull touching the penalty surface there. Oh, but still clearing that turn nicely. And it's not too far behind Sweat right now. Winky Face still leading the round. Have a second hat on a great time. Could be a 0.5. I'm not sure like how good the other lines were in comparison to Winky Face. But Winky Face messing up the nose slide. And also Red Bull with a lot of speed. This can be the ace for Restless. And it will be. Even though Winky Face was almost throwing it away. So it's 5-6. Restless has finally arrived in this match.
Yeah, it is showing that they are now, you know, if anything, you know, they might have lost in the previous match. So Red Bull will rubber band back into the match, don't worry about it. I've seen this before, this has happened in the Baltic competition to bits as well, so I'm already familiar with it. But Swed will very much be accustomed to that wall, as Planetary Goose will be in hot pursuit to get back into first position. But hey, if anything, you know, if Winky Face and Red Bull is to go by, you know, if anything, their national pride is on the line, because I'm pretty sure that Australians would not like to lose to a New Zealander. You know, it's the same way, you know, like a Frenchman wouldn't want to lose to a German or some way. You know, the same things apply. You know,
or Norway and Sweden.
Yeah, or Norway and Sweden, you know, there's some kind of pride to it, you know. Maybe the first match was just a complete meltdown for them, but you wouldn't want to lose to a New Zealander. I'm sure Winky Face would want to do that. And but Sved is in a bit of a hustle for respawns, and it will be a victory, so they will go tied as 7-7. And if there's one thing that Restless is good at, is getting an ace at 7 points. They've done it before to Steak and Cheese, but will they do it again?
Yeah, 7-7. Track point versus track point. This is quite the round. And if one of those teams, either of those teams get an ace, it is over. It is Jover, as one could say. And let's see who can get it. Swed and Goose with a great start into this round, being a bit ahead of Winky Face and Red Bolt. Red Bolt didn't really play a significant role in this match here so far, as Winky Face is also now behind, and it looks like that Swed and Goose have a really good lead here to work with. It is almost half a second here, 0.3 and 0.4 ahead of their opponents, and Goose and Swed maybe even can cruise it into the ending. But Swed with a mistake, so I think it could go to the little overtime, to the 8-8 situation. But right now it's too early to just say that, because the ending still has to be cleared, and there's still a lot of things that can happen here for the opponents for Planetary Goose in this way. But I don't think that Winky Face or Red Bolt can catch up with a good line, as Winky Face almost touches there. Not sure if that risk was really necessary, because he was already too far behind to even catch up to Goose. And well, it is a draw. It's 8-8. And now every win scenario for either of those teams will result into a map winner.
Yeah, that is indeed true. Yeah, Winky Face still trying to go for that nose slide, but you have to get it much tighter, because you're gonna run out of space quite quickly, because that checkpoint is very easy to hit, and we've seen that happen multiple times, especially for Winky because of his nose slide line. But it is Steak and Cheese who have really ramped up the temperature here, because they're the ones who have taken the lead in every single round so far. When they've had the track point. And again, Winky Face and Red Bull find themselves at the back foot, as Goose and Sved are leading the back. Winky is, of course, right in there in the mix. No mistakes this time, so it will come down to absolute execution in the end. And Winky overtakes Sved, so that is one. But victory is the only thing you need. So if Planetary Goose and Sved can hold on to this, this will be perfectly fine. So, but as soon as I say that, Planetary Goose gets a bit of a fumble. Red Bolt is also not far behind. If he has more speed here, he could overtake, but I feel like this won't be enough. Sved is getting closer to Winky. Could be. but not quite. It's
Wow.
a draw. We go to 9-9 turbo. It's becoming a very similar case from the previous encounter they had. They are getting to the fine line, and one will break, but who will that be?
Yeah, who will that be right now? It is a similar situation compared to the first map that we have seen in the other series, but it happened on Bali. It was a 10-9 situation there, and Steak and Cheese unfortunately has lost it there. Now Swid with a mistake, so Planetary Goose needs to find his way into the lead, and he fights it out with Winky Face. So that's the fight that we are focusing on right now. First and second, it is very important for Planetary Goose to get that first position, but I don't know if you want to really compete against the world record holder on this map in this particular round. This could be it for Restless, or Goose has to get that first position. Good line though from him, but Winky Face got it better ever so slightly, and look at that. This could be all over. Oh, but Winky Face, I thought for a second that he fumbled it away, but no, there's also a better line. Winky Face has more speed. Don't worry about that. Sweat with a respawn, and I do think that this is over. Red Bolt just has to finish, and there you go. Restless again wins with a discrepancy of 1 point. Map number 1. This time it's not a 10-9. It is an 11-10. Restless in the lead.
Yep, exactly the case. So history repeat itself. Steak and Cheese cannot get that first map. They were close on Bali in the group stages, and it was taken away from them with an ace. And this time it's even closer than the last time. But this time it again just falls a bit short. Winky Face pulls out a very nice ending with that no slide, and is able to capitalize on that extra speed just enough to get in front of Goose and stay in front. But now we go on to Putumayo, and I'm gonna be honest, Winky Face and Red Bull do not fill me with confidence on this one.
Yeah, same. I mean,
just gonna put it out there.
They do not fill me with confidence at all today, but just seeing that performance on map number 1, I mean, they were 3-0 behind, right, at the start of the match. So they eventually took it home. So they got their stuff together there. So let's just see how that goes on this map. The first pick from Steak and Cheese. Let's go into round number 1. Will it start with another ace? The question is for whom? And what will happen in the procedure of this series, as we see a quite conservative start from Swid, who's behind. So Red Bull and Winky Face have the upper hand right now, as if they're gonna bounce back from that. Goose has a very good water section, has a lot of speed to work with, and right now he finds himself on the lead. Winky Face and Red Bull roughly 0.2 to 0.3 behind Goose, who has a good alignment there as well, opting for a very wide approach and has so much speed to work with. Beautiful line from Goose, and with that he extends his lead here to 0.3 of a second towards second place. Also beautiful approach there. Red Bolt and Winky Face are saving it a bit too much there and not pushing, just wanna make sure to survive, but Winky Face made a mistake, so Sweat overtakes, so will be a victory for Steak and Cheese instead. So 1 additional point has been rewarded to them, and also 51.41 is definitely a good time to start things off.
Yeah, very solid. We saw Planetary Goose driving really well against Antic here, so we can definitely see the continuation of that on this track as well. It was simply the transition in the end where Antic was just more, had a bit more bite to it. They really went for the smooth and fast transition. But I feel like now against Winky Face and Red Bolt, they can be much more, confident in their time, as Red Bolt has fallen quite significantly behind. So Sver and Planetary Goose are the one really chasing down Winky, and I mean, he had a bit of a fumble in the transition here right after this jump here. He got through the checkpoint, but then jumped a bit too low. Can he rectify his mistake this time? And this time he does make it, but Goose, he's the one he's trying to chase down. Who's willing to push this more? Winky.
Ooh,
much
nice
more
line.
Wider line. Very nice risk there, and overtakes us exactly when it's sub 51 as well. What a time. And Planetary Goose drove up 51.1. Those are really fast times.
Yeah, great times from those here. Only 0.3 away from Min's world record on this particular map. And I mean, last round it was enough to drive a 0.4. This time it would have been 3rd position. So good and competitive round there, at least for that 2nd and 1st position. And let's jump into round number 3. Steak and Cheese still ever so slightly in the lead with 1 lousy point. They could extend it to 4 if they find an ace. But they could also fall behind by 2 points if Restless gets that ace. But right now it looks to be like an ace for Steak and Cheese as they are quite far ahead. First and second place for them. Winky Face 0.5 behind already. And also Red Bull didn't get a good start, all things considered. Sweat with an aggressive line will lose a lot of speed, but will still clear that transition nicely. A bit more on the inside and has not the best amount of speed. So Winky Face now overtaking, and also Sweat had to jump so far up to make sure to not clip the transition, but it still looks to be like a victory for Steak and Cheese, even though Sweat didn't get the best ending. And look at that. This time it's again enough to win a round with a 0.4.
Yeah, and this is looking likely to be what I would thought that was gonna happen. They're gonna start trading blows on their maps. And it seems that Putumayo, at least for Steak and Cheese, is proving to be a very good choice against Winky Face and Red Bull. But we cannot count them out quite yet. It still has to be something that we have to consider. You know, Restless have had a very good ratio of getting the job done in the with an ace. But for this round, I mean, it just looks a bit more convincing for Steak and Cheese now, doesn't it, Turbo? Winky's only second behind, so it's gonna need a bit more than a miracle to get back into this one.
Yeah, this needs 2 miracles, a miracle and a half, to say the least. But I mean, it can happen in the ending, but they know that they can save it. They should be aware, and also Sweat release accordingly. And also the risky is not too hard to nail. Oh,
yeah,
oh
Sweat, what are you doing, man? Yeah, that's...
Thank you.
Oh, Swinky, this is the finishing block. Okay.
Yeah, it's still a victory, but I mean, I was seeing it in the approach when I just ended my sentence there. This was just not the approach to do. So he was way too far on the left, got a slow down and jumped way too low. So not a good line. I mean, it's still 4-7 now, but I mean, bringing them to 4 instead of 3 points is already a huge difference.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have 8-3 instead of 4-7. Or no, actually, that would have been... Yeah, it would have been actually... Yeah, it would have been
3-8, yeah.
8-3, yeah, something on those lines. So yeah, but to be honest, Putumayo has been their map, and what we see on our screens again is a similar picture. So surely now that the pressure is a bit more on them, maybe they felt a bit too relaxed, you know. But now they see that, okay, Winky Face and Red Bull are a bit close, and now they are also catching up to Goose. And this could come down to the very end. Everybody's right here. It could just go either way. Who gets the transition? Oh, Red Bull gets the fumble, but Winky Face is in first position. So it is enough to get that draw, but
good round.
Boy, it was quite close.
Yeah, good round here between them. So Restless still not out on this map because of that round from the round beforehand. So the round 2 round before that. So it's 5-8. Restless can do something, and they had the potential in the previous round. It looked very good for them. They were not too far away, but it was only a draw there for them. And let's jump into the round. Steak and Cheese in need of 2 points, so victory. So first and third position needed. Sweat with a beautiful transition there, not catching any airtime in that sector, and that was just very well done. Goose is on first, also getting that trajectory very well. And Red Bulls, I mean, just look at his stats. 23% crashes, no round wins for now. So he doesn't really play a role. He just tries to play consistent, not making too many mistakes, but also not really able to match the pace from Squid and Goose. And well, they will win their first pick here by the looks of it. Winky Face overtakes one of them, but since Sweat gets third position, it will be the 6-10, and Steak and Cheese win their pick, and it's 1-1. It's finally not a 3-0 clean sweep.
Yep, and we are definitely going to get the fourth map. So that is secured or locked in. So that is the minimum we're gonna get. But we are gonna get ourselves a lovely trip in Archetype. Now, this is a track that nobody really has felt, I would say, 100% comfortable on. Everybody has had their fumbles here. Everybody has had their moments of glory and moments of despair. But I don't think any of the teams really went like, you know what, I'll pick Archetype as my first map pick. Nobody said that in ever. And done so as well. So it has been a track pick as the second one, but I feel like most teams are like, if we can avoid it, would be nice.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard map with a lot of transitions. So I get why players wanted to avoid this particular map. But I do think it's like nice, and I mean, I think the prompt set in the sheet that we had is like RPG style, which kind of makes sense by just seeing it as the second glance. But I think it's more like a transitional, speedy map with a lot of different styles and a very, very funky, risky ending, right?
Yeah, that ending is quite nice. I still will say, you know, the reactor is a bit too nice. Should have just been.
Oh no, Putumayo
you know,
was the RPG prompt. Never mind.
yeah,
So this
I think,
map,
yeah, that was the Putumayo idea. But for this map, you can definitely see the factor is more like high speed. You're gear 5. You know, you're basically just letting the corners drive themselves. You know, there isn't really much of the drift you have to go for. It's basically you keep gear 5 in most cases. Well, most times you go to gear 4. You have a few moments for the drift, but for the time being, Winkyface is the one to take the lead, and it looks like it could be a victory for Restless, and it indeed, in fact, is so. And that is how we'll start off this map. And Restless looking to be looking to take their map pick again, and maybe will lead us to some more glorious moments. But we'll have to wait and see, because for now, Winkyface is the one to have the first little fumble.
Yeah, and also look at Planetary Goose. That's what you usually don't see. 0% crashes for this guy. 46% top ones. Then his teammate Sweat, 33% crashes, 0% top ones. So it's literally the battle between Goose and Winkyface and Red Bolt and Sweat. You know, they're just playing absolutely incredible. And it looks like that Goose will just get another first position here. Swed. Also, I mean, it's just playing out the format correct. And Goose and also Winkyface have been the fastest players from their teams. But this looks to be like like an ace for them, as they're 0.6 ahead. Oh, but Sweat didn't get the best line. Gets a lot of speed out of that corner, though, and will also survive the risky here. So that's the ace. Good answer from Steak and Cheese. So now it's 4-2, and they go back into the lead.
Yeah, and Red Bolt and Winkyface only separate by 1,000th of a second. But yeah, you can definitely see that Svet knows the safer approach towards this ending. If you over-angle yourself for the finish, then you are most likely going to be guaranteed to get into the finish because of the reactor. So, of course, you can take it a lot more riskier and get it a lot more earlier. But overall, that's one way to just, you know, mitigate the risk and, you know, just to make sure that you will get that finish. But for the time being, it is the fact that, yeah, Planetary Goose and Winky are the pace setters, while Red Bolt and Sled will just pick up anything that gets left behind. And for the time being, we do have a steak and cheese sandwich on our hands, with Planetary Goose being in first position and Sled in fourth. But Winky and Red Bolt actually contesting Goose, and Red Bolt is the one to take the helm here for once. And it seems that Restless, you know, what you can do, we can do similarly, but Planetary Goose is fully sending it and gets the first position, and that's the difference between fully sending it and taking it a bit more conservatively.
Yeah, Winkyface, their sliding out was lucky that he even got that third position. So it was very close, only 0.1 there, and Steak and Cheese still ahead. After that draw, looked like much more was on the plate there for Restless, but they only got a well done steak and just some, I don't know, what is a bad cheese? I would say Gorgonzola is maybe not that good in this round. I'm not a fan of Gorgonzola.
Like a stale cheese, you know, the one that's been sitting a bit out in the open.
Yeah, I think Gorgonzola is something different, but I mean, well, that's what they got here.
I would say stale cheese is what would be I would go for, but currently the problem is that that cheese might be quite stale, because Planetary Goose and Svet are 5 seconds behind on Red Bolt and Winkyface. Surely they will get this ace and nothing will go wrong.
Yeah, that's a good ending.
That's exactly what they will do as well. What a great way to get that ace back, and what looked to be, you know, Steak and Cheese maybe getting the map pick. All of a sudden you get an ace, you swing it back the other way.
Yeah, so it swings back the other way, and they definitely upgraded their meal. Maybe the dessert was a bit better. Maybe they got themselves like a New York cheesecake, which is always my go-to when I go out eating. So that's always a recommendation. So if you guys ever looked for a dessert, I'm not a sweet tooth, but New York Cheesecake is definitely far higher on my list. But Goose and Sweat now want to get that counter ace here, as it is Red Bolt made that first mistake, and Winky Face also slightly touched the wall, is 0.2 away from Sweat and Goose, who didn't get a good run, I mean, just consistent. But it's sometimes enough to get those rounds across and get yourself that ace, as they're still leading, and Winky Face with a very aggressive approach of trying to get himself back into first position, but right now it only is enough for second, as he gets a really good line there, but slides out a bit too much. Goose still leading. Can Winky Face hold on to the ending? No, he cannot. And Swid will overtake. It will be the counter ace for Steak and Cheese, and it's now 8-6. Restless have to get themselves at least a victory in the next round, or a draw, and then we go to a decisive last round.
Yeah, a bit too ambitious on the inside line for Winky. But he immediately saw that was just, it was one of those, immediately. So it was at that point Winky Face knew, he screwed up, basically. So he immediately tried to somewhat recover, but he was so inside that there was just nothing he could really do. But if there's one thing they can do is, if you can ace each other, then you might as well go for an ace again. And ideally, you could get a victory out of this. The only way we could have like a 7-9 score if we get a draw, but if Restless get a victory or an ace, it can again swing back to the other side. But at least Steak and Cheese put themselves in a very nice position, everything considered. And currently Restless is putting themselves in a position where they might get a victory.
The ending.
Good overtake though, but it seems this time Winky Face won't make the same mistake. And it is a victory, so it is 8-9. And will Restless do it again, Turbo? Will they get just an ace to just close out the track when it's so close for Steak and Cheese?
Yeah, would be such a classic way for Restless to win. And as we can see, the first mistake has already happened. I think Goose didn't get the best gear over on that pipe. You can lose it there. But, I mean, Steak and Cheese only need of one first position. But Planetary Goose, who was the player who won every second round, 50% win rate, is now behind. So Sweat now has to find his way to win his first round, to win them the map. He's batting out with Red Bolt, who has also not won a round. He has won one round so far. So the underdogs of their teams are fighting it out right now, and Winky Face and Planetary Goose are playing from behind. Good lines from both of the players, but Red Bull is ahead. But the ending is still there to be cleared, and it's definitely not an easy one, as Sweat gets a great transition. Red Bull, good drift here as well. Sweat sliding out, and I think this could be over unless something happens at the ending. Winky Face also survives it, and we go into overtime with that. It is 10-10. And I think that's the second time we jump into overtime. So let's see who can take it home. Both teams are 1-1. Who's gonna find the second map win? And most importantly, who has the match point on the next map?
Yeah, it would have been glorious for Svet to finally get that 0% up. But it won't be this round. And now he's probably bleeding to Goose. God, dude, I crashed. Just go, just drive, just go as fast as you can. Winky's on your tail, just send it. We got nothing else to lose. But this is a very precarious situation for Goose at the moment, because Winky seems to have finally somewhat woken up, and Restless actually somewhat look to be a decent team. And Goose hits the checkpoint, and history repeats itself. Steak and Cheese, they are so close every single time to take this, but again Restless hold on for dear life, and they get their map pick, and it is 2-1. And again, it's ever so close. It's been like three times throughout this tournament, or even 4 times, where Steak and Cheese could have gotten it, but they were just 1 round short.
Yeah, 1 round it was every time. And now it's 13-10 for Restless. So map 2 goes, or like the second map win goes to Restless here, and Steak and Cheese are behind. They have to win back-to-back. And let's jump to map number 4. It is Burn It All Down. We have seen a lot of content here yesterday, and they surely have to do it again. A nice map from Superl. And good luck to the teams. If Restless wins, they take home 3rd seed. If Steak and Cheese win this map, we go to a last decisive map. And I think this can happen on this kind of map. I do think that this can happen. And the last map would be Bali, a map that we have not really seen too much, only in semi-final 1 as map number 1, but it was over so quick because it was a 12-2 there. So Bali could be seen for the second time, even though it was seen so often yesterday.
Yeah, but I think this was the map when we saw, this was the first map they played against Trident Storm, and Winky and Restless looked absolutely out of touch with this track when they were against Trident Storm. And Winky couldn't get the transitions right, Red Bull similarly as well, but of course maybe a different opposition will lead them to be a different outcome. But Red Bull again has a bit of a fumble. Winky has the same fumble, and again I have to say the same line, history is repeating itself. This map is an absolute horror story for Restless. This is what keeps them restless at night. They see this map and it comes burning all down for them. And it's again looking likely to be that we might actually see map 5, because it's just looking like the same picture from match 1 they had against Trident Storm, as Steak and Cheese looked to get a very free ace, to be honest.
Yeah, that is a free ace for Steak and Cheese, so history is repeating itself here, and there you go, 50.7, not good times. It's 1.2 seconds away from the world record, but sometimes they are enough to win rounds, as you can see here. And Steak and Cheese with a dream scenario to maybe move on to map number 5. All right, let's go into round number 2, as it is everyone with a good start, so no one failing it, but usually you also don't fail that section. The first major mistakes are happening in this transition here. That is happening right there. It's very hard to not do it correctly, as Red Bolt has made a small mistake there and finds himself a couple of tenths behind, but it's still a tense fight for first position, as it is Swed, Winky Face and Goose fighting it out. But of course it's heavily advantageous for the red team, even if they only get a draw and they have 2 players in the top 3 versus only Winky Face being in there, who gets a really good approach into the ending and can maybe take it home if he gets the ending across. And this looks really good for Winky Face. One more drift to do and he will close it. And yes, he will do. And also better time now, 50.024 as the winning time. And it's a draw. Steak and Cheese, however, now up to 4 points.
Yeah, pretty much this round everybody drove faster than the previous winning time. Because the Red Bull got a 50.5 and I believe the previous round was a 50.7. So everybody immediately just, extra warm-up round. I always say first round of every match is an extra warm-up round, basically. As Winky Face finds out that the warm-up rounds are over and he has to now learn that transition again for the next round. So Red Bull is the one actually trying to chase down Planetary Goose, but not really getting that much closer, to be honest. Goes a bit of a smoother approach, but you really don't want that much speed because you are going to be slowed down by the plastic session. It's a very tight turn there, so that's why the booster is there, just so you can get up to speed again. But it seems that the Steak and Cheese are getting a very comfortable victory here. Nothing much to say about this one. 50.0 again, Goose is up to pace. Everybody's getting up to par again, and with 2-6 on the board, it's really feeling like what I said in the early part. We were just gonna trade maps and we'll decide it on the final one, and it's looking likely to be that case.
I do think so as well. I think this will be the case, even though Restless with an ace, everything can just be back to normal again, almost, but they need to find that ace, of course, as they are 4 points behind. And Steak and Cheese not in a winning angle just yet. Winky Face getting a good start, but again, Red Bolt, who has gotten himself 2 first positions for now, but also 24% crashes. I think after map number 1 he had 0% and 0% on both of those stats. And now he's playing from behind again, as we have a good fight for first between Winky Face and Planetary Goose right now. Goose with a great line, claiming that lead, but touches the wall. So this looks good for Restless to at least take home 2 points. And they're not gonna do it because Red Bolt goes into the wall. So it's a draw, 3-7. This 1 point would have been huge for them. And like a messy round comes to an end, and let's jump into the next one. Steak and Cheese can take home this map and force a last decisive map, which would be Bali.
Yeah, and it seems that the greatest misfortune is when it is the most easiest turn of all. But Planetary Goose now makes a very uncharacteristic mistake on the early parts of the map, and that puts them in a very precarious situation because Red Bull and Winky Face are now driving off into the sunset in a position where they're 4 points behind and could make it an ace on the board and bringing it down to only 1 point. So Sved has a lot of work to do. He has a half a second that he has to catch up, and it does not look like he has the speed to really do so. If anything, Red Bull and Winky Face are just driving further away, but as long as they get this ending clean, it should be perfectly fine. Well, Red Bull didn't
Good
get
time.
it as clean, but sub 50 by Winky as well. There is pace in them, and 6-7 on the board, and maybe we called it a bit. Maybe I called it a bit too early. That saying that Steak and Cheese are gonna get it because Winky and Red Bull feel like they have more than that left in their baggage, you know, in the trunk to get this track and close it out and get that third position in the tournament.
They can still close it out, and I mean, what a weird match that is again for Restless. Like the whole matches from Winky Face and Red Bull also yesterday were so interesting. I think there was one match that was a bit more straightforward, I would say, but also the match versus Steak and Cheese was quite close and was heavily reliant on mistakes from either of those teams. And right now it is Winky Face in the lead, Red Bull is on third, and I mean that's the Winky Face that we have seen from yesterday, right? Just getting those first positions and hardly making mistakes, and that is another great time from him. It is Goose and Sweat hand in hand, however, crossing the finish line as well. 50.12 it is. Red Bull cannot match the pace, but now it is match point versus track point. Both teams got 1 point out of that round. Steak and Cheese in need of a victory, and Restless preferably needing an ace. But just seeing that, I do think that we could see it, that we will not see an ace in this round. But never call it too early. It could also be Red Bull playing the round of his life. I mean, his PB is a 49.958, so he's definitely able to put good times onto the map.
Oh, but Sved makes the early mistake there, and it just feels like every time Steak and Cheese are just millimeters away from the finish line. It seems Restless are just more composed and able to close it out. Planetary Goose is trying to catch up, but he doesn't have the best line, and Red Bull is right behind him as well. Restless only need an ace to get the third position, so Planetary Goose could be shaking in his boots, risking that line, almost touching the end, and still holding on, and it's getting again too close for comfort. Steak and Cheese, why are you doing this to yourself? It keeps to be the pattern at the moment. It's 9-9, and so far Steak and Cheese have a track record of absolutely 0 in closing out a match on 9 or 8 points when we are in these situations. They seem to just, you know, you have that little shakiness in your trigger, you know, you feel like you have to push, but Red Bull is out. It's finally the possibility that they're looking for, but Winky Face is now just, you know what, I'll just go and ride off into the distance.
Yeah, and Winky Face right now leading, and he's quite far ahead. Sweat not with a good line. I mean, Red Bull is 7 seconds behind, so Winky Face just has to survive, and he has to in order to force overtime here yet again. As Planetary Goose and Sweat, well, they have to rely on a mistake from Winky Face, but this is not happening. Winky Face opting for a very safe approach. Goose pushing a lot. Goose with a great ending. This could be it, but Winky Face with a good line. No, it will be enough. It will be the snipe. And we go to map number 5. What an ending there from Goose, pushing it to the absolute maximum. And this was a great snipe in the ending. And both players with good times as well. And this time, Steak and Cheese wanna end the curse. We go to Bali, ladies and gentlemen, which will be the decider. And I do think that the cards are open again, because last time we have seen this map, and this was map number 1, if I recall that correctly. Yes, it was a 10-9 in favor for Restless. So I do think that this map will be very close.
Yeah, this will decide it, and yes, you are indeed correct. Finally, Steak and Cheese finally get the round that they need to secure this situation, that they don't let it go any further. It was still very hard fought. Planetary Goose had to fully send it. Winky Face went very conservative in that final turn, and that was the exact moment that the Goose knew to strike, you know. Geese can be really scary if they start charging towards you, you know. So, you know, if they get angry, you know, you don't want to mess with the goose. But we'll see if that comes to fruition on Bali as well. The deciding map, we finally get a best of 5, and these teams are now fighting to make a difference in the score. Restless had a 3-0 against Steak and Cheese when they first encountered each other in the group stage, but now they're delivering an absolute treat. And with Restless being up to par, Steak and Cheese giving it all, this could be down to the wire. And Planetary Goose just seems to be on it now, on fire and sending it, and Winky right behind him.
Yeah, and to look at that, this could start off already very promising for Steak and Cheese, as they can get themselves even an ace here with a not that good of a line from Rinky Face. Sweat claims that second place. Goose not with the best line, loses a lot of speed. Sweat could win his first round, but no, will stay on second, and Steak and Cheese get another ace to start things off. Red Bull with a mistake, and also Winky Face, I think, didn't get a good approach there over the ice. So there you go. It is the ace, and Steak and Cheese jumping a significant step closer to winning this match. And I think this would, even in all things considered, and seeing Restless's first match of the day, deserved.
Yep, absolutely deserved. And interestingly enough, of course, we see Red Bull has a fumble as well at the start, and Planetary Goose maybe not the best line. Interestingly enough, when you look at the stats as well, Sved yet to win a single round.
And this will be the round.
Will be accustomed to that wall in a very intimate manner, and Sved finally, after going through multiple rounds, the man is looking to get a first position. Well,
never mind.
Clearly not. He just wants to keep that 0%. Let's be
he doesn't want to.
Planetary Goose is here to stats pad, get that first position, maybe get up to 50% here, you know, could be possible. But Sved just cannot win. It's impossible. It's simply impossible. And when I tried to give him every single benefit of the doubt, Sved is like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna give you that, Caster. You're not gonna give me that first position. I'll earn it. You're not gonna call it out. So I'll be back next round.
Like the stubborn kid when you say to him, oh, I clean up your room. Then you just reluctantly not doing it. Yeah, I don't want to do it now. No, I don't want to do it. I'm going to do it when I want to. I just wanted to do it now, but now you said it and I don't do it. Yeah, but I sometimes have that as well. If someone says to me, yeah, you have to do this and that, you probably all know that, right? But I mean, this round could be the round where Sweat is going to take it. But of course, he has to do it out of his own force and against a very strong Winky Face who had a really good approach in that sector. But Sweat gets the flick, and with that has a lot of speed. And I do think this could be the round where Sweat is gonna win it. And that is also a good line. Only the ending left to be cleared. And there you go. Sweat wins his first round. Even Goose overtakes Winky Face, and that is 1-8. Steak and Cheese needing to find 2 points in the next, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 rounds. So I do think that this is almost over.
Yeah, well, if there's anything to go by at the moment, well, we go from highs to lows. Sved gets his first victory and immediately crashes the wall. A classic. You win, and then you are rushed with adrenaline, and you're immediately in the wall. What a perfect way to capitalize on that. But Red Bull and Winky Face have to pretty much ace their way to victory, because otherwise this is going to be a very quick map number 5. But hey, if there's anybody who has deserved this one, it is Steak and Cheese. Restless have come out of the sort of the gutter a bit, but it hasn't been quite enough, because Steak and Cheese have had their number. Maybe, you know, Steak and Cheese will give them a number to the local Steak and Cheese shop. Maybe they can get some inspiration from that. But for the time being, Restless do get the victory, but that is only a little bit, because when you look at the score line, an ace would have been a lot better.
An ace was the only valid outcome in this round. This was heavily advantageous for Steak and Cheese, just getting 1 point out of that round, because Restless are at 3 points instead of 4, so it's one of the rare instances where it literally doesn't matter. But now I think Goose and Sweat do feel the pressure, as they are making some small mistakes and have to adjust, but Goose not too far behind. behind Red Bull and Winky Face, and this could be all over as either of those making a mistake, but they're saving a bit too much. It's a dead even fight yet again. All of a sudden, even though they were so far ahead, it's now 0.2, and Goose not getting the flick, but overtaking Red Bull, but didn't get the good line. They still can't see someone clipping the wall or making a mistake. Will this happen? Winky Face and Red Bull will survive it. Oh my god, I thought for a second that Red Bull missed the ending, but this didn't happen. Restless now with the ace. It's 6-9. It's a nice scoreline, but it could be all over after the next round. So Restless did their homework. What can they do in this next round? They need to do it again.
People might say that Steak and Cheese do not like to close out matches. So clearly they just check the oven and they see, like, you know, the Steak and Cheese are not ready yet. So they have to give it a one more round. But it only just... these are the situations I hate the most as a player. You are on the verge of victory, but then you just cannot close it out. Everybody knows this, whether it's finalist mode, whether it's the final match point, whether it's the 1 point you need to qualify. That final hurdle is the most hardest to get, but Planetary Goose could be on the verge of taking the heat, cannot make a mistake in the end, and that is exactly what he does. Ladies and gentlemen, Steak and Cheese take it out. It's a GG, and finally they're able to beat Restless, and they take third position, securing themselves the third seed in the main event to come in later in March. So Restless, they have to qualify throughout the seeding and to get their seeding if they want to participate.
Yeah, who would have thought that Restless is getting eliminated today and taking that last spot? Oh man, I would have not thought that this would have happened, but Steak and Cheese played really well, so good job on their side. Also, in the previous match, they looked very good, especially on map 2 and 3, so you love to see that. Steak and Cheese have made it, so that's GG on that end. Restless have to play the qualifier, and I think they have to step it up as well. I mean, Winky Face looked great, but his teammates, I mean, was okay, but he has to step it up a little bit in that way. Red Bulls maybe also didn't put extensive practice into the maps, but the pace was definitely not there on some of those maps. Definitely perform when it matters, but well, wasn't enough to close it out. And there you go. So guys, before we jump into the final though, we have a map release of the maps that will happen in the main event. And I can tell you something, there's one map that both of us, Kriidy and me, have already seen.
Yes, it is something that we have seen quite well, and I'm very familiar with it. I will say to the players who are in the tournament, good luck with that one. It's a thriller. It was one of the more difficult maps I had to drive, and I really did not have a fun time there. But in the end, I got the grasp of it. But hopefully you will enjoy it. You will be seeing the official release video and the map to come as well into the campaign in the club as well for the Asian Oceania Premier League. So without further ado, here is the video for you to enjoy as we are going into the break at the same time.